Good morning, Nina.
Good
How are
morning.
you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
That's good. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you here in the space again with me. Um, Before we hop into it, I just kind of want to revisit as we talked about previously, but I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about our roles again, of mine as a therapist and yours as the patient or the client rather, and how this is your space. Um, Essentially, I'm here to support you. So I want to make sure that you know that you're in charge in this space. You can let me know if you need to take breaks, step away. If we're getting into territory maybe that you're not ready to talk about, um, or if something makes you feel uncomfortable. So just wanted to start with that. Yeah.
Got it.
And I will go into getting to know a little bit more about you as we're going to be spending a lot of time together. Um, at least once a week, if from what I remember, we talked about. Um, so if you're okay with it, can I just chit chat with you, ask some questions, and take some notes?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So I know your name is Mina. Um, but I don't know necessarily about you and like where you're from, where's your hometown. We kind of talked about it, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity and be like, so where are you from?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, Midwest, and then I came out to the desert in Arizona when I was 16. Um, it was pretty hard growing up in Michigan. I didn't really have the best relationship with my parents. I don't really talk to any of my family over there anymore, and I've kind of just made it on my own here in Arizona for the rest of my time since I was 16.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds like a really big shift at a young age, so I can only imagine how hard it was. Um, I'm glad to hear that you're in a better space now here in Arizona. Sounds like you've kind of you have your roots now, like you're settled. You've had your life. And then you did mention that you have children, right? And a husband.
Yes, I have two young kids.
Mhm.
I've got my husband, and I love him, but he stresses me out sometimes. But I love my kids and being with my kids. That's what I do most of the time. I don't work currently, so I spend a lot of time just playing with my kids. They're my life. They're my world.
Yeah. So, you said you have your small family, your two kids and your husband, and that you spend a lot of your time with them. So a lot of your, I would suppose, like self-care and a lot of your time is spent at home, just from what I'm hearing. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that you have such a great relationship with your husband and with your kids, and that you're there for them, right?
Hmm.
Are there like any spiritual kind of beliefs that you have, maybe religion, if that's something that you pursue or that you're engaged in rather?
Yeah, I definitely believe in God.
Mhm.
I do my prayers. I wouldn't say I'm the best about attending church,
Mhm.
but just spirituality in general is really important to me. And praying, that's pretty much what I do in that aspect.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you have like very clear sense of values and morals that maybe aren't tied to any religion, which is perfectly okay. I hear that very often as well. but I appreciate you being transparent with me and letting me in and letting me ask all these questions. Um, I also wanted to ask kind of how that change, I guess, if there's been any cultural change from that you've experienced in the community from when you lived in Michigan to here now, in Arizona, and just kind of going back to that, if there's maybe something you're missing in community or that you had there, and you have here too, similarities.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a big culture shock coming from Detroit over to Arizona. It's just a very different feel. And like I said, I kind of have done everything myself. I'm very self-motivated and it's me, myself, and I. So I don't really feel like I have a big sense of community out here, which is fine. I really feel like I just need my kids and my husband. But we don't do too many community activities. We don't really talk to the neighbors. So yeah, I guess sometimes it can feel a little bit isolating, but like I said, I'm self-sufficient, so I can make anything work.
Yeah, definitely get that from you. If you are very independent and you have your family and that's really who you spent the bulk of your time with. It sounds like maybe community might be something that interests you in building, whether what that looks like, whether it's some common interest or geographic community. We can always talk about that during our sessions as well, and that interests you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be open to it.
Cool. So going back, I just wanted to ask if there's anything you'd like me to know about your background you that you want me to consider throughout the treatment process as your therapist.
Yeah, I've had quite a few therapy experiences and I've been hospitalized at different stages. I've done the whole medication thing. I've met with therapists and I I'm kind of tired of therapists leaving me. Like I want someone who I can connect with that's actually gonna be there for me. And I just feel like I want to figure out what's really wrong with me. I've had so many experiences. I just want to figure out what's actually going on and do something to help me. I feel like I haven't gotten that in the past with my experiences, so I'm hoping we can figure out something different or something new.
Oh, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I definitely appreciate you being so forthcoming too and letting me know. Um, that was actually going to tie into one of my next questions, so you already kind of addressed it. But kind of your thoughts about therapy, preferences, and I'm sorry that you've had such like an inconsistent and less than desirable experience with therapists. Apologies for the noise in the background. Um, but I definitely want to make sure that we spend some time, getting to know each other, but also setting goals that are relevant to you. And I don't expect you to immediately off the bat be willing to share and work on everything that we talk about today. But we can take it step by step and especially considering like your experience with, I guess, inconsistency with therapy or therapists and kind of them leaving you. Definitely respecting that and taking it bit by bit with how our relationship as patient and therapist, um, proceeds and moves forward. So, thank you, thank you for sharing that. You know. Um, And then lastly, I did want to ask about if you have any thoughts about medication in particular. Um, I think we kind of talked about it already. Just um, if you could give me a quick, um, I guess, synopsis. apologies, a synopsis on if you have any thoughts about medication.
Yeah, I don't, I think I'm open to it, but I don't think it's really helped fully in the past. So, I'd like to maybe not do medication right away and like we can try something else first, but I'm open to it.
Course, and that's exactly why I wanted to ask the question because we want to respect the client or you as the individual receiving therapy and go at the pace that you need. There's no rush either to get to that point where you need to take medication. So we can definitely talk about it. It can be even one of the goals we incorporate to learning more about medication, how it may or may help. Um, so eventually you can come to informed, decision on what you would like to do when it comes to the medication, whether you'd like to proceed with the current, prescription or pursue a new one or maybe opt for an alternative. But I appreciate that. Um, lastly, so I wanted to ask you about, you kind of already touched on it, but what has brought you here today? What I heard was that you're wanting to learn to be more patient and understanding. Is there anything else that I may have missed?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. I know when I get really stressed and overwhelmed, I just kind of will freak out. Like I will throw plates against the walls, like I'll punch holes in the walls, and like that's just not who I want to be. So I definitely want to learn to be more patient and feel less overwhelmed. And I've been diagnosed with quite a few things in the past too. And I just want to get all of that sorted out and get a better understanding of why I feel the way I do.
Absolutely. That's like I kind of mentioned before, we can definitely build that into our treatment plan as to something we can work on. I heard a number of different goals we can create. We can talk more about it later, but really discussing what it means to you to be more patient and kind, like in context of your everyday life. Like if you want to be um more patient and kind as a mother in particular, like what does that mean for you? And then kind of helping with emotional regulation is what it's sounding like with throwing plates, punching walls. I know you mentioned it hasn't been to that, I guess, extremity as of late, maybe, but always learning, falling back on those skills to how to learn to how to regulate those emotions and help us not, get back to that place and keep moving forward, can also be a great goal. So yeah, but yes, I appreciate your time today. Nina, if you have any questions or for me, I'm all ears, but if not, I think that that'll conclude our session today, and I look forward to meeting with you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.